September 30th, 1998. It's a day I'll never forget. The cop inside me died that day. And that night, Raccoon City was wiped out, thanks to the bioweapons created by Umbrella. Somehow I made it out, but too many others weren't so lucky. I was asked later to join a top-secret government program. Not that I had a choice. The training, punishing missions, nearly killed me. But at least I kept my mind off everything. If I could just forget what happened that night. The pain, even for a second. This time, it can be different. It has to.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Leonardo G, and this time I'm making an impressions video on the Resident Evil 4, the Chainsaw demo. Now the game has been out since last week or last 2 weeks, 24th of May, and it's been well received, critically acclaimed. At the time of recording, it sold 3 million copies in 2 days over the weekend, but I fear it'll follow the same fate as Dead Space, the remake, which critics love. But commercially, it didn't do that well. I mean, it wasn't a flop, but it didn't reach expectations that the developers had. And I'll explain why, given the demo that I played. Now, in the demo, you can clearly see that there's been this overall graphics upgrade. I mean, the game looks amazing. The environmental lighting works really, really well. Leon now has a more, I don't know, in the Resident Evil 4, he looks a little bit too young. Here he looks like a man who's been hurt and bruised and trained to battle and all that, so he has a little more weight to it. All through the entire demo you have this eerie feeling that at any time somebody will jump at you, and mostly it does. And you have this sense that you can't control the shooting very well. It's not meant to be like that. Once you try to make a headshot, the camera will instantly move, and this is intended by developers to give that sense of dread to the players, and that works really, really well. The menus have all been redone, and you can now search your inventory a lot better. There's a case where you can pack everything. You manage your ammo, your aid kits, your entire inventory, and all that. You do get a map. I don't know if this was in the first one. I think it was a mini map, but this one you have a map which tells you not everything. It just tells you the general construct of the level. So the rest you have to explore yourself, which is really, really good. Another thing that is really well, this one I think it was remade of also, is the sounds, the sound of the creatures, the sound of the environmental sound. So you get this, almost claustrophobic feeling when you play the game. So all of those are really, really good.
Bruce, this is Condor 1.
Hunnigan here. What's your sit rep?
President's daughter, Baby Eagle. It's likely she's in this village.
But then you get to the final scene, the scene where you actually face the chainsaw boss or demon or whatever it is, and this is where you hit a snag. Now at first I thought, well, I have to get through the aggro to get to the boss, and that's what I was trying to do, but I felt there was always more aggro than what I've seen. There's a small cutscene before you see like 5 people, but then it turns out there's like tens of them. After that I just said, okay, I'm gonna run to the boss and try to fight just the boss. The boss came out, it came after me. I couldn't take him out just with the pistol that I had. I didn't realize that the boss was actually coming at me, was actually slicing through the aggro, and I said, oh, maybe that's what I have to do. I have to run away, get the aggro in line with him, and as he moves towards me, he will kill the aggro, and I can then kill him. That didn't seem to be working also because, aggro comes from all sides and directions. And so I ended up just, trying to gather as much stuff as I could in my first place, so then when I restarted the level, I could have all my stuff. Because it happened that I found a grenade and then I died, and then I came back and I had that grenade. I said, oh, okay, I'm gonna, this is the way you do it. You have to get all the things and then try to fight it with everything in your inventory. It doesn't really work that way because, I found some ammunitions and some other grenades, and then they didn't spawn with me when I died, so I was left with that. And then everything that the prompts showed, how to deal with aggro, how to deal with ammunition, how to work with the map, were just telling me that, at some point I had to fight these enemies and the boss. This was what I was trying to do. And I tried it for a really long time until my brother told me that's not what you're supposed to do. I was a little bit bummed out because, you know, I did play Resident Evil 5, I didn't play 4. I did watch my brother play 4, but I didn't watch like all the time, and it was a long time ago, so I don't remember everything about the game. In this case, he said, no, there's this cutscene that will appear when you enter one of the buildings, and then there will be something that happens that distracts them. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I tried to enter every building. Then I noticed that there were 2 bell towers. Now, one of them I went up, and the boss immediately destroyed the floor, and I went down. The other one, once I got in, a cutscene started, and I said, oh, okay, this might lead to something. That's when I started doing that. Then I go upstairs, I fight villagers and the enemies again, and then I die, and then I just didn't know what to do. I knew I had to get the cutscene. I knew I had to do a little bit of damage to him because he said something at the beginning, like this guy just won't stop or something like that. And then I continued to do this until I kind of isolated myself in one of the rooms. The enemies could only come from one direction. I didn't know they could, you know, I kicked up a ladder, but you know, I didn't know that they could put the ladder up again and come in from behind. And after a while, and after doing some damage, then another cutscene started, and that was the end of the demo.
Huh?
La campana. Al que obedecerla.
Él nos invoca.
Now, why do I say this won't be commercially successful like it was before? Just like Dead Space. Because these types of mechanics are not something you see nowadays in nowadays games. Now, this game, when it came out, you have to realize most big games that came out back in the day was like 1 or 2 a year, maybe 3, 1 or 2. It was the era before live service, you know, where you dedicate your entire life, your entire days to play one type of game, whether it's Destiny, Division, whether it's Warframe, which I kind of do, whether it's Genshin or anything like that. So games had a lot of trial and error. They had a lot of exploration. They had a lot of little puzzles that you can just, you know, spend your time doing it over and over again until you realize what it's supposed to be done. And games now don't do that. So anyone who never played Resident Evil and just heard about it and saying it's good and try this demo would probably just put down remote after about the 5th try. Because there is no indication, not even in the prompts, which is really the worst. The prompts really kind of mislead you into thinking that you have to fight the aggro when you don't. You just need to hold up the boss long enough for the next event to occur, the next cutscene. And this is a mechanic that doesn't work nowadays. You know, you have to have clear objective. You have to have somebody in your radio say, you know, go to the bell tower. There might be a weapon there, or just hold off until the Navy appears or something like that. You have to have these little hints now, or else the game would just not work with a regular player that's just like to have a little prompt saying the objective and the distance and how many ammunitions and where are things. And even the fact that you have ammunitions at a certain crate is important now. Resident Evil, in all Resident Evil really, you break a crate and it could be ammo there, it could be an herb there. Nowadays they tend to move away from that, so that you know where the weapon is, you know where the ammunition is, and where the life is, so that you can plan ahead your path through the boss or through the aggro, through the level or whatever. So I guess that's one of the problems that really hurt Dead Space, and this was the same. If I evaluated Resident Evil 4 just on this time alone, it was another game that just said, oh, this game came out, it has this graphics, it's a survival horror, and this is how we going to devs. Man, you gotta give more indications to whatever the hell I'm doing, because I spent like an hour trying to pass this is in the original game, this is like the first level. My brother that played tell me, yeah, I was right at the time, those years ago, I was stuck there. But he pushed through it because it was the only game available. He wasn't playing anything else, no live servers or anything like that, so it worked that way. Nowadays, these types of games don't really work unless you give some direction. I don't mean handheld the player to say, okay, this is what you have to do, but you need to give them hints. If you, after the 5th try or the 4th try, the player doesn't get it, you have to give him some kind of hint, some kind of radio signal, some kind of glimmer at the objective, so we can move through the level, or else, you know, they will just drop the game, which is unfortunately what I think many will do with this game. Not that it's a bad game, not for a long shot. I mean, this is a great game. This is a great remake. I think people that played Resident Evil 4 would love to play this one. But for a new player, it will probably struggle so much that he won't just dedicate his time to it and just leave it. I think that's what happened to Dead Space, and I think Resident Evil 4 Remake is in the same peril. But that's just my opinion. Leave your opinions in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And as always, have a great game, guys.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?